Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk. I got a text from my lovely bride over the break just asking me to tone it down just a bit. So here I am doing my Mr. Rogers impression. Interesting thing is she drove with me to Cape Girardeau. She was my chauffeur because I was doing show prep all the way up and all the way back this morning. And had an opportunity, which I never get to do, to listen to Rush Limbaugh. So we kept him on where we were driving yesterday. And there were times when Rush, I don't get to listen to him very often. I enjoy listening to him. I think he's the best that ever has been or ever will be at talk radio. So I enjoy listening to him. And there were a couple of times where he got more amped up than I get. And so I said, Deb, would you, if you had his number, would you send him a text message right now? She said, no, I don't care when Rush Limbaugh does it. I only care when you do it. So I have an extra special level of attention to keep me from getting outside the parameters that I ought to stay within. Now, I want to take phone calls, 888-589-8840, and we'll come back to this in the second hour, but there's a piece in Politico. The media was really upset with Barack Obama because they had no photo ops when he was playing golf with Tiger Woods, no access to President Obama for the entire weekend, which, that's exactly the problem that Ambassador Chris Stevens had. No access to Obama. Where's Obama? He's not anywhere around. Doesn't make a single phone call the entire night that Benghazi attack went down. And so media could care less about that. They have no interest on why nobody could get hold of Barack Obama, where he was, what he was doing, why he didn't call anybody. But they get shut out of a golf weekend. They're apoplectic. And this is a threat to a Republican form of government and to our Constitution and all other sorts of things. This is like, what? That was that asteroid analogy that one of these pundits at CNN used. It's like, I forgot that one. Barack Obama, his sequester cuts, they're like a meteorite that's going to destroy who knows how much real estate in America. But anyway, this Jim Vandehei and Mike Allen are the leading pundits at Politico, and they have what John Nolte at Breitbart refers to as battered media syndrome. They have this battered wife syndrome where she keeps going back to the guy that keeps beating her, and they're like this with Obama. They have that kind of sick, obsessive attachment to him, even though he repeatedly abuses them. And then they say this, look, we know they're trying to say they're not biased, but they're admitting it because this is what they say. Barack Obama is a master at limiting, shaping, and manipulating media coverage of himself and his White House. In other words, they're saying we know he's doing it and we can't stop him. He's too good. He's too clever for us. He's too slick. He's too sharp. He can manipulate us. He can turn us. He can twist us. He can get us to do what he wants, and we are powerless. We are helpless to stop him from manipulating us. The mastery mostly flows from a White House that has taken old tricks for shaping coverage and put them on steroids. The results are transformational. It has resulted in the balance of power between the White House and the press tipping unmistakably toward the government. This is arguably dangerous, and yet President Obama has exploited it cleverly and ruthlessly. And so this guy says, look, we know he's doing it to us. We know that we're helpless lapdogs. We're being manipulated. We're being used. We're just tools in his hands, and we the brightest bulbs in the box. We are powerless to stop this Svengali from manipulating us and getting us to serve as ministers of propaganda for the regime. Well, let's go to the phones. Let's go to James, Midway Park, North Carolina. James, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yes, good afternoon. Look, young fella, let me explain something to you.
All right.
All this stuff is not coming out of Barack Obama's own little idea, crystal ball.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, the mainstream media is owned by somebody else and some globalist people, and they run Obama, although he's doing it purposely because he wants to do it. But as far as spending those and cutting people. Look, if he want to cut something, start cutting all those hundreds of thousands of foreign troops that are here that they refer to as their homeland security force.
Mm-hmm.
How about stop funding Hamas and Hezbollah and all the rest of those people who have been killing our troops? How come they haven't said anything about that SEAL team that was destroyed over there after they had allegedly killed Osama bin Laden?
Well, now, I don't think the SEAL team was destroyed. Has anybody said they've been destroyed?
Not long after that, one whole team plus everybody on that little Vietnam-era helicopter got shot down. But nobody's been saying anything about that.
Well, that's news to me, James.
What?
I haven't read about that. A SEAL team getting shot down. That's news to me.
Yes.
Now I do know. I will say this. I don't know about that, but what I will say is that, Rand Paul has talked about the fact. If we're going to start cutting somewhere, how about we start cutting the foreign aid we are sending to people that burn our flags and stomp our flags and shout "Death to America" slogans? That would certainly be a place to start.
Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, that'd be a place to start.
Everybody knew at the beginning that those were those so-called rebels was the Muslim Brotherhood, and he was moving those other so-called dictators out of the way so that Islam can take complete control. Look, basically we had peace in the Middle East with those guys in there until they started moving them out. Then they moved them out, and they got Israel surrounded by who they want to have surrounded.
Yeah, well, you're correct about that, James. It's interesting to me. The Muslim Brotherhood now is in charge of Egypt, and they just the highest court in Egypt just reaffirmed the death penalty for the makers of that Muhammad movie that they've pronounced and issued. It's in absentia because they're in America, but they have issued a death warrant, just like they did for Salman Rushdie for the Satanic Verses. They've issued, but this is a court. This just isn't a fatwa from some preacher. This is an official court ruling from the highest court in Egypt, the death penalty for those that made the Muhammad movie that was blamed for all of that violence in the Mideast. And this is the Arab Spring. President Obama claimed responsibility for this. This is all his doing, people wanting the liberty and the freedom, and he inspired them to do this. In Pakistan right now, 92% of the people in Pakistan hate the United States of America. It's the worst it's ever been. So this is Barack Obama, comes into office. I'm going to change the way the Muslim world looks at us. Well, he certainly has. Now 92% of the Pakistani people hate the United States of America. All right, James, thank you for the call. And we're sending those Abrams tanks and those helicopters to Egypt, or F-16s. F-16s and Abrams tanks. I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars we're sending to the Muslim Brotherhood. Remember, the Muslim Brotherhood is dedicated to eliminate and destroy Western civilization, and Barack Obama is sending them the airplanes and the tanks that they're going to use to do it. Let's go to Joyce, Geronimo, Oklahoma. Joyce, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm very proud of the way you're able to take sound bites from 2011 and explain how they have changed. And I'm suggesting now that the very definition of the word sequestration could be an uncovering of what President Obama doesn't want to draw attention to. If you have sequestration, it's a legal seizure of property for security. Perhaps President Obama chooses at the time the Afghan troops are supposed to be leaving that he would like to sequester any property that the military could leave behind for security for the people he wants to provide security. And then I understand that he is a lawyer, President Obama, and therefore the word sequestration as confiscation of property by court order definitely must come from him, even though he wishes to deny it. And that's the whole reason that Benghazi situation had to be called some sort of propaganda, because he didn't want to hear anyone say that he was involved with the opportunity to call Benghazi a harm against Muhammad, and therefore something we in America should be warned so that we don't say anything against what could be offensive to the Brotherhood.
All right, Joyce. Well, listen, I appreciate that. And, President Obama has clearly shown almost an obsequiousness. Well, he has shown an obsequiousness toward Islam and toward the Muslim faith, showing favoritism that he does not show toward Christianity. I don't know that he's ever talked about the contributions that Christianity has made to American history, but he can't stop talking about all the wonderful things that Islam has contributed to American history. But what? Where is that list? He talks about that long list. I've never seen it. I have no idea what he's talking about, and I don't think he does. I don't think he does either. And he has this technique. He has this way of distancing himself from things that he could blow up. I mean, that's part of what's going on. I think Joyce is right. Part of what's going on with Benghazi is he just says, look, you guys take care of it. I'll see you later. Don't call me. I'll call you. Because then when the whole thing blows up and 4 people die, then he had nothing to do with it. He can say, look, it's not my fault. If you're going to blame anybody, blame my incompetent, inept team. I handed this over to them. I delegated this to them. I trusted them to take care of it. If it got botched, don't come looking to me because I put it in the hands of these people and I thought they could do the job. And the fact that they botched it, don't blame that on me. And he's doing the same thing with the sequester. And I don't think they picked the word sequester because of the legal meaning. I'm sure it has the legal meaning that Joyce was using here, but I think they use sequester because it's a really impressive word. It's a really big word. Man, you could score some serious points in Words with Friends with sequester, and nobody has any idea what it means. Joyce is the only one I've ever talked to who has any idea what it means. But you notice how he's blaming it on Congress. I had nothing to do with it. It was Congress's bill. They're the ones that passed it. I just signed it. Hey, I'm just along for the ride here. Focal Point AF for Talk. We'll be right back after the news. Don't go anywhere.